Welcome to Land of House. I'm Seth. Today I've got the AllPowers R1500. It's a power station with an AC output of 1800 watts, surge of 3000. Has a lithium iron phosphate battery of 1151 watt hours. It has several ports you can plug up for AC output or for DC output, and accepts both a solar panel, car charger, and then of course the wall charger as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at its features, and then we will test out the output. And I also want to use the solar panel to charge this, and lastly do a full discharge test with a known wattage to see what this thing has for the output. Let's take a look at the power station here on the front. The AllPowers logo can be found up top right here. Over here there is a 12 volt 10 amp car charger, or cigarette lighter if you prefer. And you just pull this rubber stopper up and you can access that DC output. The other DC outputs are right over here. There are two of these USB type A, and those are at 18 watts. If you move down here to the bottom, it has two of the USB type C at 100 watts output. In order to turn these on, you press the power button right here. Moving down here, you will find four different AC output. And to look at those, pull this rubber stopper up and you can see just a typical US plug right there. 1800 watts, in order to turn that on, you press the power button right over here. Now in order to turn this display on in the middle and to turn on the unit in general, you press this power button right here in the middle. Here on the side, there is a really deep handhold, so you can hold that without your hands slipping out. There's also air vents right in here and up in here to allow this unit to breathe. There are also air vents on the side. These things can get a little bit hot, and so it's nice to see that extra air vent here. Now, if I press this panel right here, it will open up and I can access what's inside. There's a fuse. I can just click that to reset. The AC input power goes right here, and over here is for the DC input, whether that be for solar panels or for charging by a car. So on the back, it's blank except for a sticker showing you some information about this unit. Turning over to the last side, once again, lots of air vents, a nice deep handle, and also a button you can press here to access the expansion battery ports. It has two of those, and so you can expand this to have a much larger battery. The top of the power station has dual cell phone chargers. These can do 15 watts each, so you just set your device on either one of those and it will begin charging. I'm going to hold down the power button right here until the display turns on. We've got that this unit was shipped at 72%. Let's go ahead and wait for it to calculate. We've got 10 days remaining on the battery with zero output. So if we want to turn on the DC side, I can press this button over here and it'll show that it has the both USB and the car charger turned on. Can turn that off by pushing once again. Now we should see this 10 days drop down whenever I turn on the AC side. All right, I heard the click for the inverter to kick on, and now it is waiting for output on the AC. Well, I don't see that it's dropped the days down, so I guess that inverter is waiting for output on the AC. All right, let's go ahead and plug something up to both the AC side and the DC side and see what we get. This is a 200 watt LED light panel, and it is highly sensitive to pure sine wave output. So when I plug this up, we should be able to see if it flickers, and that will let us know if this is pure sine wave or a modified sine wave. What we want is for it to be very consistent and not flicker at all. So I've already got the AC on. Let's go ahead and plug this up and see what we get here. All right, hopefully you can see that light. Zero flicker. That means that we have a very consistent pure sine wave output. And right here on the display, 217 watts. It'll run that at 3 hours. That's actually the best output I've seen on this light in a long time. Very consistent. I'm impressed with that. Now I'm going to test out the output here on the DC side. I'm going to press that to turn on the DC power. Hook up this USB right up here. All right, and then I should be able to use my cell phone to demonstrate that it will charge right here. There we go. It is now charging the cell phone. Got about 11 or 12 watts coming out of the DC. It's nice to see the output right here will last for 2 days at that output. Let's test out the wireless charging. Place the phone here. See what we get. Let's see if the case has to be removed. Well, I've tried several ways and I can't seem to get my cell phone to charge with the wireless up here. It did turn the screen on one time, but since then it doesn't seem to want to do it. So I'm not sure what's up with that. One of the charging methods of this power station is for the AC power, which is probably how a lot of people will be charging. You just plug up your power cord over here and it will start to charge, I think, pretty strong actually. There we go. I'm seeing around 980 watts of input power, and that should charge this unit up in 33 minutes. So yes, it is going to charge up nice and quick. Now you can pair the R1500 Power Station with a large solar panel from AllPowers. Let's pull this thing out. It's very heavy. Oh, check that out. Probably the biggest folding solar panel I've ever seen on a power station. This solar panel is a 37.4 volt at 400 watt. So this thing should be able to pull in lots of watts to charge up this power station. Let's go ahead and take a look at the unit and then place it in the sun. It's kind of cloudy today, but we should still see some output going into the power station. On the top of the panel, whenever it's folded, there is a carrying handle because this unit is rather heavy. Down here, it has a couple of snaps that will allow me to open this up. But let me turn it around real quick and we will see what's inside of the water-resistant pouch on the back. Yeah. So it does have a zipper here that I can undo. And when this opens up, looks like we've got power cord, an adapter for the MC4s. It's got several carabiners, and then a little user manual as well. Several carabiners are included, and that will allow you to open this up and attach it to, let's say, the roof of an RV or a car. So we will check out that. Also, the two cables coming out of the panel are MC4 connectors, and I'm seeing there are 2 different cables included with this kit. So this one right here has an adapter to go to, it looks like a barrel plug. I'm not sure if we'll be using that one because on the power station that we have is the XT60 plug, which is this yellow one right here. So MC4s to that yellow plug should get power into our unit. So let's take this over to the sun and see if we can't get some input into our power station. Today is quite overcast, but I'd still like to see between 200 and 300 watts coming in. So let's go ahead and open up this panel. I'm going to pull the power adapter out of there. Now if I flip this to the front, I can release these clips, which will allow me to unfold the solar panel. Now right here is a panel that has Velcro. If I pull this out, it will adjust so I can angle this into the sun as needed. So I'm going to go ahead and finish folding everything completely out. And then I will begin to pull those Velcro tabs loose. Now it would be ideal not to have any shade on the panel. Even these little bits of leaves and grass here can make a difference, but we should still see an output here as it is. So right back here, you can see where those pieces are supporting the panels on the back. Let's go over here to the far panel and get the power cord with MC4 out of the bag. There we go, I've got those two. The MC4s will only connect in one direction, and that is to properly orient the positive and negative cables. So for instance, this one is the red cable, and it will only go into this cable here, which is the positive. Now I need to press this button to open up this panel, and then I can take the XT60 and plug that up right in here. And now let's check to see what input we have. I'm seeing 209 watts, 213, 16. That's pretty fantastic from this panel, considering the cloud coverage that I currently have in the sky. That's great, 300 watts coming in. It's hard to beat that from a 400 watt panel on a cloudy day. Now that we've seen this power station charge with the solar, and it is doing fantastic, I think it's time to head back inside and finish doing our power tests with this unit. Now, one more note, these little clips here on the side are where you would put those carabiners, and you can hang this from a vehicle, such as an RV, and get power on the go. I wouldn't want to drive with them on, but you could definitely tie it to there, and it will hold in place during winds and rain and that kind of thing. But the power that these are bringing in are actually pretty good for a power station. According to the display, we've got about 2 minutes left before this unit is fully charged. If you look close here, there is a little plug icon up here. That means that the unit is plugged in. But if I turn on the AC output right here, a new little icon pops up that says UPS. That is uninterruptible power supply. That means that if I plug in a load, it's going to use the shore power or grid power to feed the unit and then feed whatever you have plugged up. So let's say I plug up this 200 watt light. We should see this 200 watts right here on the output. So that right there is basically bypassing the inverter that's inside here and powering it straight from the grid. However, if I go over here and I pull the power cord to the AllPowers, it will immediately, or within 15 milliseconds, turn on the inverter and feed this light, basically keeping it going without any interruption. So let's see what happens. I saw a very slight flicker on the light, really not much of anything, and it's continuing to run. So this is great if you've got, say, a laptop or a computer or a 3D printer or whatever you want to continue to operate, even if the power has been pulled from the unit. The power station just reached 100% on its charge, which means it's time for us to do a full discharge to test out the battery. So the exact watt hours that the battery states on here is 1,152 watt hours. So the thought is, if I run a heater and it will pull down a consistent amount of watts, we should be able to get a good representation of how much this battery actually will run. So let me go ahead and plug up some things and we will get started with this test. First thing I'm going to do is pull the power from the grid, and now the unit is completely self-contained here. This is called a kilowatt meter. It will show me the amount of watts that are currently being drawn. Hopefully it'll plug in here. That little stopper is kind of in the way. All right, very good. This heater has 3 different settings on it, and I should be able to get a good example here of what this is running. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to read the watts on here. I'm going to time this. And we should also see the display counting down the percentage as well. So got my stopwatch. All right, I'm going to turn on the AC output here. Let's go ahead and do max heat on setting number 2. I'm going to go ahead and start this here. The output is 874 watts. We've used 0 watts so far. Looks like it's going to hold somewhere around 868 watts. I believe it's going to last for 1.3 hours if you take out the power consumption of the inverter, and that's what it says here, 1 hour. So I'm gonna say approximately 1 hour to an hour and 10 minutes is what we're gonna see on this battery that's in here. So I'll come back in a while whenever we have used a bit of time. Let's see how our battery test is going. We've got 0.79 kilowatt hours on this meter right here. 17% left, 11 minutes, and 55 minutes have passed so far. So I would say we are pretty close to target with this 868 watts being consumed. Well, at 6%, the unit just shut off. We had 0.9 kilowatt hours, hour and 2 minutes. I was anticipating being able to get that last little bit before it shut down, but shut down a little bit early. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, 5%, and I'm not exactly sure why it turned itself off early. I wonder if we can squeeze that last little bit out. Let's give it a try. Nope. Looks like the inverter will not turn on with that last 5% remaining. So I suppose maybe we could run the DC side here, but the AC is not turning on. All right, so we got just slightly over an hour on the time, and we used 0.9 kilowatt hours. So I think had it run for that last 5%, we probably could have gotten the 1 kilowatt hour out of this battery. I would have liked to have seen this power station run down to 0, but stopping at 5%, at least we know the battery is protected from running down too low. So my personal thoughts on the R1500 from AllPowers. First of all, the AC output was great. I used my light there to see that it was a pure sine wave output, and there was 0 flicker from that light. And it's actually the purest output I've seen on these power stations in a long time. So big thumbs up on the AC output. It was able to run that 868 watts for an hour and about 5 minutes, and did fantastic. So the battery output was good. I kind of figured that that last 5% is a protection on the AC side, that it will keep the battery from being damaged. So although I like to be able to discharge these to 0, it was good to see that that feature is available. It's also nice to see that UPS on the AC side, being able to use the grid power until the power is pulled, and a 15 millisecond or less swap over for the inverter to kick in. That way, if you're running a computer or using this for 3D print farm, you could power those units even whenever the electricity cuts out. So the DC side, the ports that I tried out up here worked out just fine. However, I was unable to get my cell phone to charge on the wireless charging up top. My cell phone has actually had trouble with different wireless chargers in the past, so it may not be the unit's fault, but might be my cell phone. Now let's talk about the solar power. I plugged up that 400 watt solar panel and got 330 watts out of this on a somewhat overcast day. So the panel was working really well. I imagine that in full sun, this would pull in probably the full 400 watts. And if you've ever used solar to charge up a power station, you pretty much have to have something around 400 watts to get any good power out of that during a full day. This unit does have a 1151 watt hour battery, and that is enough to run, let's say, this heater right here for about an hour on high, as you saw in this video. So if you want to check out this AllPowers R1500 Power Station, I'll have a link to it in the description down below. I'm Seth with Land to House, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.